Deep in the Oregon Coast Range, beyond the reach of streetlights or city sounds, there once was a town called Valsetz, a logging town, a company town, and for nearly 60 years, it was home to a rugged community of mill workers, loggers, and families who carved out a life at the edge of the wilderness. There were no stoplights, no police, no mayor. The laws didn't always reach this far, and frankly, most folks didn't care. Teenagers drove pickup trucks at 13. The town ran on trust, timber, and tough winters. And yet, what would one day put Valsetz on the map wasn't a mill. It was a girl. Her name was Dorothy Hobson. She was 9 years old, and the founder, editor, and entire editorial staff of the Valsetz Star, a newspaper written by a child, read by loggers, and by presidents. In 1937, the sawmill in Valsetz was finally back in full production. The Great Depression and a devastating fire had nearly shut it down. Dorothy's parents ran the dining hall and dormitories, where she spent her days surrounded by rough, loud, kind-hearted sawmill workers. That's probably where she got her wit and her confidence. One afternoon, Dorothy shared a late lunch with her friend Herbert Templeton, a Portland lumber broker who helped market the mill's lumber. She told him flatly, "There's going to be a newspaper in Valsetz, and I'm the editor." She handed him the first issue, handwritten on a school tablet. Templeton was stunned. He promised to have his office in Portland type, mimeograph, and mail the paper, without changing a single word. And with that, the Valsetz Star was born. The first issue hit mailboxes on November 6, 1937. It sold out instantly, 2 cents per copy. A man in Kansas City sent Dorothy $1, hoping it might cover a subscription. She mentioned it in the next issue. After that, the dollars poured in. Dorothy wrote with the dry wit of someone 3 times her age, poking fun at friends, family, and even herself. She didn't spare her own parents either. In one issue, she teased her father. Henry Hobson went to Brighton-Bush Hot Springs to reduce and gained 5 pounds. And in another, she reported, completely deadpan, Mother lost her gas tablets on 6th and Washington Streets while visiting Portland. For anyone wondering, gas tablets were old-fashioned indigestion pills, a 1930 staple for upset stomachs. But to Dorothy, even something as small as losing antacids became local news, delivered with perfect comedic timing. She covered it all, from school gossip to lumber production to world affairs. In geography, we're studying about France, she wrote. They have many beautiful cathedrals, and they owe us some money. Her politics were just as playful. We believe in hemlock, fir, kindness, and Republicans, she declared. But we promise not to charge Democrats extra. In 1940, 12-year-old Dorothy took a bold political stance, publicly endorsing Republican candidate Wendell Willkie over President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Not everyone appreciated her opinion. Some adult readers responded with anonymous hate mail, handwritten letters mocking her views, her age, even her right to speak up at all. Dorothy didn't back down. "A few people have written us dreadful letters for supporting Wendell Willkie," she wrote in her next issue. "But they did not sign their names. Please don't be ashamed of your name. We are not ashamed of ours." Dorothy didn't shy away from world affairs either, even the rise of Adolf Hitler. In one issue, she mused with a kind of innocent logic only a child could deliver. "We think if Hitler got married and had a little boy and a little girl, he wouldn't be so cruel." At one point, she planned a scathing editorial about him, but then changed her mind. "We can't say anything bad about anybody during the holiday season," she wrote. And when the world's problems refused to go away, Dorothy's sharp wit returned. "We won't say anything about Hitler this month because we are tired of him." By 1940, her editorials turned from playful to pointed. "If Valsetz is invaded by Mussolini and Hitler," she warned, "Mr. Leonard, president of the handle factory, will furnish all the women with broom handles to chase away the invaders." And just in case anyone was still worried, she added, "If we had war, Hitler couldn't get over the hill to get to us. He'd get stuck in the mud." And that last line, about Hitler getting stuck in the mud, well, it wasn't just a joke. It was accurate. Valsetz was one of the wettest places in Oregon, averaging over 140 inches of rain a year. The weather was notoriously miserable, and the town proudly held the title of the wettest official weather reporting station in the entire state. Word spread. Eleanor Roosevelt quoted her at a press conference. Former President Herbert Hoover wrote her a letter. So too did Shirley Temple and dozens of other celebrities. She appeared in national magazines, on radio shows, and in parades. She was crowned Grand Marshal of Portland's Grand Floral Parade. At its peak, the Valsetz Star had over 600 subscribers across the U.S., Hawaii, the Philippines, even Germany. But in December 1941, Dorothy printed her final issue. "We've had lots of fun in the last 4 years," she wrote. "And we hope we haven't hurt anybody's feelings. We're sad about saying goodbye. Mother is sitting in the living room, rocking and crying. We are all crying now." She was 12 years old, and she never published again. Once it had everything a remote community could need. A school built in 1929, later replaced in 1981, a general store, cafe, movie house, train depot, recreation hall, and even a company-owned herd of dairy cows. There was a dentist, a barber shop, and a one-room hospital staffed by a company nurse. But by 1983, Valsetz was a very different place than it had been just 2 decades earlier. Boise Cascade had purchased the town and its surrounding timberlands in 1959, but much of the old-growth timber was already gone. When the last of it was depleted, the sawmill was converted into a plywood operation. It limped along for a few more years, employing fewer people, and slowly falling into decline. Then, in 1984, the mill shut down for good. The entire town was bulldozed into a pile and set ablaze. The land was leveled and replanted with trees. Today, all that remains is the crumbling concrete foundation of the old mill and the bittersweet memories of those who once called Valsetz home. In June 2014, on the 30th anniversary of the town's dismantling, former residents returned to the site. They gathered on that same concrete slab, built a fire, and shared stories. A wedding was even held there during the reunion. And still, Dorothy's story endures. She was honored at the final graduation ceremony of Valsetz High School, a last farewell to the town she once gave a voice. Today, a plaque near the Oregon State Capitol bears her name. It misspells her middle name and gets her age wrong. But the story is right. Because even from a town with no mayor, no laws, and no future, a good story still finds its way. And the Valsetz Star, that story still shines. Dorothy Hobson lived from 1928 to 1996. But her words live on. And so, we'll leave you with one of them. Valsetz is small but very exciting. One couple got married. One couple got divorced. 3 men got in a fight. 2 babies were born. And 2 men got in jail. Greta Garbo can milk a cow.